In Lexington, Kentucky, the University of Missouri is here, continuing its debut season as members of the SEC, one of the nation's premier gymnastics conferences. The Wildcats of Kentucky are one of the nation's most improved teams with newfound depth and intensity. They're knocking on the door of the SEC's elite gymnastics programs. Both teams have much to prove, and we'll see them go head-to-head next. You're watching the SEC on ESPN, and it doesn't get any better in women's gymnastics than the SEC. Specifically tonight, we're in Memorial Coliseum, where Missouri is about to take on Kentucky in this dual meet. And good evening, everyone. I'm Sam Gore, honored to be alongside Olympic medalist Kathy Johnson-Clark. Missouri is here for the first time as a member of the SEC, and Kathy, for the first time in program history, Kentucky is threatening these elite teams in this conference, and much of that has to do with head coach Tim Garrison.
It's amazing. In his first season, he really transformed this program, and he wants more this season. In fact, if you talk to him, you think, boy, are you ever satisfied? Fortunately, his athletes don't feel that way. They really trust his belief in them, that they could come in and work harder, learn skills, and compete better. These are the three things he really wants to see today. He wants to see them come out fast and hard on the vault and go after stuck landings. He wants to see them be aggressive, not afraid to make mistakes. That really allows for some exciting gymnastics if they will go after it. And every single athlete has a role to play on this team, no matter how big, no matter how small, and he wants it taken seriously and done.
Well, and for Missouri's Rob Drass, a whole different set of challenges.
Boy, what a tough start to their season. It definitely did not start out right. They had 3 season-ending injuries, so they have been regrouping and trying to find routines to put in the lineup, and they're finally doing that. So what he wants to see is, for the first time ever, 24 for 24 routines, every coach's goal. But now he wants to start seeing details, form, execution, amplitude, and good landings. So they're at that point in the competition as well. And he really hopes to write this next chapter of their story. They want a good ending no matter how the story began at the beginning of the season.
Well, let's give you our dual meet format. There are 4 rotations, 6 gymnasts will compete in each rotation, and the top 5 scores in each will count. Up first for Kentucky, Marissa Beucler, freshman from Findlay, Ohio.
Remember, they want to start out strong here, really attack these vaults and the landings. So Yurchenko with a full twist. Those are valued from a 10.0 starting score. She doesn't get a huge pop off the table, but enough to stay pretty straight throughout the vault. A little bit of pike down, and of course the hop on the landing.
She just joined the team in the 3rd meet of the season against Arkansas, already contributing. And for the bars, it is Missouri starting on that event, specifically Sandra Ostad, who is from the country of Norway.
Now, this is an event that should be good for them. They have some nice release moves in pirouetting moves, some double layout dismounts, good difficulty. They had a very shaky 30-second warm-up, which is their final touch before competing. So I saw a little bit of nerves. They need to settle down, because they're really trying to hit every single routine. Really looking for these handstands, a little overbalanced on that first one. Pretty nice ganger, a little short on that handstand. Got a lot of support from her teammates. This is something this team really needs to do. They rally behind each other. Support, support, support. Double layout dismount, a little bit of a pike down and a step, but off to a solid start.
Beucler had gotten a 9.725 on her vault. And speaking of the vault, Audrey Harrison is next for Kentucky, junior from Knoxville. Steady performer, has had some success in the all-around this year.
It's really nice when a coach gives you permission to not worry about mistakes. He wants them to go big on these vaults. Handspring onto the board, front pike. She nailed it in the final touch warm-up. She had to take a step on that one. But it's nice to see a different vault. We see so many Yurchenkos and Yurchenko fulls in collegiate gymnastics. A nice breath of fresh air there. A little bit of tucked legs as she was coming out of the pike somersault.
Sandra Ostad had a 9-7 on her first bar routine, and up next is Laura Kapler, who competed in the all-around for the first time against LSU this year. She had a new career high on the vault in the season opener earlier this year against Alabama. Bar's something that she's doing new this year. 9.725 is her total high.
Absolutely. She was a staple on beam last year, but now is stepping up with those injuries to her teammates and competing in more events. Nice opening sequence of pirouetting moves, a little bit shy of the handstand. Oh, very short of that handstand, unfortunately. Full pirouette into a tuck double back. Now keep in mind the judges are really looking for vertical, completely on top of the bar, or those are deductions throughout the routine. It's the thing that both coaches want these athletes to go after. She got a little bit of bonus on that connection, doing the full pirouette into a tuck double flyaway.
Kentucky's had two 9.725s on the vault. This is Jill Chappel, known for her sense of humor on this team.
Nice distance on that vault, little leg separation on the pre-flight, but I think she's quite happy with the vault. Notice right there, her legs come apart, but she has good distance, decent height from the table, and just a little slide on the landing.
Mackenzie McGill up next on the bars from the state of Oklahoma. She's had her career high this year of 9.8. She's following a 9.65 by Kapler.
Most of the gymnasts from Missouri are getting their bonus points from connecting elements together to get connection bonus. So a little bit of form deductions here. Really got to work on those tight legs. There's a full pirouette into Turkachev. Nice handstand to the low bar. A little short on the final cast to handstand. Full pirouette, not quite in vertical, right into the pike double back. And a step, little deductions throughout the routine. But that's a hit routine.
So we've had 3 gymnasts from each team go in this first rotation. We'll be back with the second half of the rotation. Welcome back to Lexington. Aside from winning this meet altogether, both of these coaches have some benchmarks that they hope to achieve tonight. And here's what they have to say about those.
First, I'd like some big, strong vaults with strong landings. You know, that's one thing. We've been doing great vaults, but we haven't been landing. We've been giving up valuable tenths each meet on vault. I'd like to correct that tonight. We've been working hard on it. They've been doing a lot of drills for it. They've been focusing on it. And even to the point of possibly making a mistake, putting the feet too far back behind them, really going after the vault. That's what I want to see from them. And 2, basically it goes right along with that. I want them to not worry about the risk of making mistakes. I want them to go out there and perform to the best of their ability without the fear of making mistakes. And the last thing, I want every person on the team, regardless if they're doing scores, if they're writing scores, or if they're a motivator, I want them to do their job to the fullest of their ability.
I think every time every coach is looking to go 24 for 24 and build off all the strong routines you have so that you can maximize your score. So our first goal is always to hit routines. So every routine we put out, we want to hit. Second, now it's halfway through the season and we're looking to be detail oriented. So that's, you know, landings, execution, handstands, pointed toes, no wobbles, just things of that nature. So that's probably number 2. And then third, we've had a little, you know, issues this year as far as struggles with some injuries and things. So we're trying to write a fantastic ending to this story. So this is the next chapter, and we're hoping to make it a great one.
Well, neither of these teams have hit a perfect meet 24 for 24, so that's a biggie for both of them. Kentucky's in a position he wants them to go big, be aggressive, don't be afraid of making mistakes. That leads up to exciting gymnastics potentially. So we'll see how they do.
Kenzie Hedges getting ready to exercise her vault. Sophomore from Rowlett, Texas.
So far, I think Tim Garrison is reasonably happy. I don't think he's totally happy. He really wants to see a little bit more aggressive attack for these landings. Seeing pretty good pop off the table. That's probably the highest vault we've seen. But of course, taking that step, you've got to really focus on those landings. Zero in, take the risk of being a little bit short by not just trying to get it around to your feet, but actually focusing on the landing.
Miranda Eubank, just a freshman, local Kentucky girl from Louisville, returning to her home state to compete.
She fell in the final touch warm-up on this event, missed her release move. It's hard to say what kind of effect that has, unless you know the gymnast. Sometimes they will have just an awful warm-up and come up with a great routine. Ah, she caught it. Nice job. On a much better transition this time to the low bar on the undershoot. Nice dismount. Look at that. That is the highlight of that routine. And look at her smile.
Who needs to warm up? She was ready.
She might have been a little shy of her handstands, but she really went after that release move, did a better transition on that undershoot, and this was the best part of the routine. Wow, look at that. Good for her.
Holly Cunningham, junior from Colorado Springs, racing down the runway.
Coach Garrison said she is deceivingly powerful, that she can pop a good vault once in a while when you least expect it. Tall and lanky, but she uses that height well. Nice extension in the vault, stays pretty laid out. Hops just a tiny little bit. I don't think she needed to.
Rachel Updike, the only All-American in the Missouri program, following the 9.9 career high by Miranda Eubank on the bars.
And you'll see she has All-American form. I really like this athlete. Very clean in her execution. Legs straight, toes pointed, good position, body position in the handstand. Let's see if she goes after these handstands right on top. Big release move. Nicely done. A little bit tight on that handstand. Good transition to the low bar on that bail. And a half in, half out. Nice difficulty at the end of the routine. Well done. Now keep in mind the judges sit right on the side of the uneven bars. They can really see these handstands, but that release move, it's excellent amplitude. Half in, half out. Spots the landings, has to step back a little bit, but coach is happy.
Shelby Hilton anchoring the vault for Kentucky.
Looking for a nice opening after that twist. She stays just a little bit piked throughout the vault. And her feet are a little bit flexed. Those are little things you got to work on. Perfecting the form. And in order to really go after this stick, she's got to open those hips up, get her chest up. Just needs a little bit more pop off the horse to do that. I just showed my age. I called it a horse. We used to call it a horse way back when the table.
You should have pointed that out.
Yeah.
Taylor Media.
With the form, but she's got a big dismount here. Double layup. Wow, good landing.
Absolutely stuck it.
So far, so good for Missouri. They're hitting the routines, just a little bit tentative on going after the handstands. Need to clean up a little bit of form, but boy, when you hit 6 for 6, that's what a coach wants.
And we'll be back with our second rotation as well as the results of where we've come so far in a moment.
800-254-9498 now.
With Proactive.
You're watching the SEC on ESPN. Let's take a look at our results through the first rotation. And Kentucky on the vault, putting up a total score of 48.9. Beucler with a 9.725 to kick things off, and the high score was Cunningham's 9.85. So only one of those 9.725s had to be dropped. And for Missouri, career high for Miranda Eubank on the bars, and a team score of 49.075. And here's our overall score through the first rotation. Well, Rob Drass here at Missouri had the challenge of moving into this tough conference, and here's what he had to say about moving from the Big 12 to the SEC.
Well, I think, you know, you join the greatest gymnastics league in the country, and it's always a challenge, and we're excited and we embrace that. And you know, to get to compete in front of the audiences and just what it's done for our audiences as well. I mean, it's extremely exciting to have a team that's ranked every week coming in, and extremely challenging to have teams like that. So, but I think it, you know, it toughens your resolve, and it makes your team better and stronger. So we relish it, we encourage it, and we're looking forward to what it can do for us in the postseason.
I'll tell you what, I'm sure he's happy after that bar performance. That's a big score for Missouri. Much more important, though, they're hitting routines, competing better.
On the vault for Missouri, Laura Kapler.
Let's see if they can keep some of that momentum going. They got over at the uneven bars. They're going to open with the Yurchenko laid out. Little hop on that landing, and unfortunately this vault is only worth a 9.8. It's the maximum score it can score without the twist. So they're banking on trying to go after straight body, good height, distance, and a stuck landing to get a big score.
See if she achieves the 9.8. Here's Kayla Sienkowski, our first look at her tonight. Junior from Frederick, Maryland on the bars. Just a walk-on.
Now, I am certain Tim Garrison wants to see more aggressive gymnastics on this event. They didn't quite go after the landings on vault, so he wants to see good handstands and stuck landings here.
She had never competed on bars before this year.
Oh, shot that one way out, double layout. Just let go a little early. You could almost hear her sling that out away from the bars. She pulls it around and manages to stay on her feet, but that's going to be a pretty big deduction.
Cathryn Aliceaacosta from Texas.
Also doing a layout Yurchenko. 9.8 start value, nice position in the air, but they'll take a deduction for the landing. Notice there's no twist in this vault, it's just perfectly laid out. She needs a little bit more height and distance to get the really big maximum score of 9.8, and of course, there'll be a deduction for the step.
Sara Shipley following the 9.575. It will probably be dropped from Sienkowski in her first bar routine.
5 feet and 7 inches. Very, very tall gymnast.
Tall team is Kentucky.
Boy, I can see Coach Garrison leaning with them, trying to get these handstands vertical. There's one right on top of the bar. And little step on the landing. Giving away tenths of a point here and there, and that really matters. We saw it on vault. They couldn't quite hit that 49 mark. Scoring just below at 48.9. Finally got the handstand right up on top. And right here, this is what Coach Garrison really wants to see. Fight for those landings. Start in the air. You really have to zone in for those landings and attack.
Both teams a little slow in this rotation. Here's Ostad again from Norway.
Handspring front pipe. Traditional entry vault. You see so many round-off entry vaults. She comes facing the table, lifts up off the horse, she'd opened just a little bit out of that pike, might have come up with a stuck landing.
Shelby Hilton following Shipley's 9.75. She had a 9.75 on her vault routine earlier. Hilton, Coach Garrison was telling us, has a dynamic bar routine. Let's see it.
She has a nice release move, right? Following this clear up to handstand. Beautiful ginger, almost perfectly laid out. Good amplitude. A little shaky on the transitional low. The leg separation, but nice form after that. Good, boy, she slings that out, but pulls it around and comes up with a stuck landing. I was talking to Tim after warm-ups and said, I can't believe she pulls this around. She really slings it out. But look at the landing. Has to pike down just a little bit.
We're halfway through the second rotation. We'll be back in just a moment. Miranda Eubank up next for Missouri. Had her career high on the vault in the last meet against LSU, a 9.75.
I'm not sure which one she's going to throw, either a layout, maybe a full. Yep, she twists it. Oh, too bad. Oh. That's a, oh, almost. She had good distance. Just not quite enough height, not quite enough rotation to pull it around to her feet. And unfortunately, the knees go down. That's a big deduction.
Missouri really struggling on the vault so far. Back over to the bars, Kayla Hartley waiting. Hartley is a local product, grew up wanting to compete here. From Versailles, Kentucky, which is right down the road from Lexington, has gone from a walk-on to a scholarship athlete in this program.
Boy, you love to hear that. She's a nice full pirouette into reverse hack to open up the routine. Right here. See if she can keep her legs together right on this transitional. Oh, a little bit better. They kind of scissor. Just ever so slightly she hits that handstand position. Except for that leg separation. Nice routine. Oh, don't take that step. Double layout dismount. She didn't quite have the rotation to land it without a step.
Tori Howard hoping to pick her team up, as this has not been the best rotation for Missouri.
This is a nice vault. She does it very well. We've seen the laid out Yurchenko. We've seen it with a full twist. Now watch this. This is with a half twist, meaning she will do a blind landing. You don't see the floor. Oh, you have to take a step. Pretty good vault in the air, though. Pretty good pop off the table. Nice position. Just had to step and cross over slightly on the landing.
And for Kentucky, Audrey Harrison following up Kayla Hartley's 9.85. Four all-around titles this year for Harrison.
Nice height on that Jaeger front. Her legs are bent just a little bit. Those will be deductions. Just to work on the form, a little short of the handstand. Nice position in the air, and boy, she emphasizes that with a landing that you write home about. Nice work. Little bent legs and unpointed toes. Those are things they'll want to clean up if possible. And this team is a hard-working team. They've made such great strides, and their willingness to step up has been remarkable, and that's the best part of the routine.
9.85 was the highest score so far. Updike ready to go on the vault.
Good, clean form. That's the highest we've seen. Best amplitude. She remained just ever so slightly piked. I would like to see her kind of flare that open after she does the twist. I think she'd come up with a better landing if she just open up. But she was going for the stick, very definitely.
ranked 18th in the nation on the vault. Alexis Gross final up on the bars for Kentucky. Coach told us she brings emotion to this team, called her a fire plug.
Yeah, he said if she's not getting ready for her routine, she's in somebody else's face, getting them ready for theirs. Big move here, Jaeger front, little knee bent, little bit sloppy on form, but it's stuff you can work on. She does some nice big gymnastics in this routine. This dismount is a big one. It's a double front with a half twist. Whoa, look at the landing. Well done. Yeah, this is definitely the best part of the routine. She did it over and over in warm-ups, really trying to kick it out, look for the landing, and she pulls it off.
A 9.875 for Gross. When we come back, it'll be the start of the third rotation as well as our scores from the first two. You're watching the SEC on ESPN. We have completed 2 rotations here in this dual meet. And on the vault, Missouri threw out the score of Eubank and overall scored 48.325. They had the lead going into the second rotation, but Kentucky has overcome them. Sienkowski's 9.55 was thrown out, and a 9.9 by Audrey Harrison, and then an ending bars routine of 9.875 by Gross. Here's where we stand through the 2 rotations now. Kentucky has moved in front for the first time tonight. Well, Kentucky head coach Tim Garrison in his second season, and he has brought a lot of fire and intensity to this program. Here's what he had to say about his own coaching style and personality.
They respond well, they do, because once again, I go back to the fact that they have had success. We come in and we work hard, and if they're not working hard, they know it. If they're working hard, they get a pat on the back. Hey, you guys are doing great. Keep it up. We're going to get places if we continue to do this. If they're not, we get them in line and we get them going, you know, and they really respond to the intensity. They do, because they know it's going to be the best thing for them and their gymnastics career.
Well, in terms of the benchmarks, I am sure Tim Garrison is not completely happy. He never is. He always wants more. But they need to attack those landings and not be afraid of making mistakes. They were a little bit tentative on bars, not going for those handstands. So he's going to want more and more as the meet progresses. And Missouri, unfortunately, they have their miss, so they're not going to go 24 for 24. They were excellent on the uneven bars, however. So the story is still being written for Missouri.
Over on the beam, Shannon Mitchell. Mitchell, sophomore from Bethesda, Maryland. Coach calls her very steady, something you need to be on the beam.
Well, this team is extremely consistent in practice. And Coach Garrison says they're getting better in competition. They just need more experience. And the only way you can do all the pressure sets you want in the gym, in practice, but until you are under the lights, in front of the audience, and keep in mind, competing in the SEC, when they go to Alabama or Georgia, they're in front of huge crowds. Very well done so far. She's extremely steady on all the landings. Beautiful tuck jump full twist. Not many gymnasts do that and get it all the way around. It's nice to see people taking some risks in the dance elements on the balance beam. Finishes with a front full and a stuck landing. That's a solid routine, extremely solid. Very, very calm throughout this routine. Side somersault there. She opened with a front aerial into a tuck back. And the dismount, front with a full twist. Perfect landing.
Cathryn Aliceaacosta up on her floor routine for Missouri, following Madria's 9.725.
of a point for stepping out of bounds. Much better landing on the final pass and inbounds. Not a bad routine. Pretty hands throughout. The choreography was nice.
Here's the mistake.
Back 1.5 twist, front layout, and tried to keep those toes on the mat without stepping. Not bad. You know what? They really are competing well. They've only had that one miss on vault, and it was just a drop to the knees. I'm sure Coach Rob Dress is seeing this thus far as a pretty big success.
Beucler on the beam now for Kentucky. She won the beam in her first career competition earlier this year against Arkansas.
Oh, that's too bad. And Tim had told me her first competition, first event was balance beam. She went up third and just rocked it. So she's got a lot of potential, strong nerves, which is what you need for this event. And unfortunately, a fall today.
Just a freshman.
That's just unfortunate. She's doing a layout to the end of the beam, missed the second foot, couldn't punch off to get into the dismount. It's a nice skill. Unfortunately, she just didn't quite get the rotation. Hips weren't squared up.
A disappointing beam routine for Beucler. Ostad up next on the floor for Missouri. Was training to compete internationally and suffered a pretty severe injury that stopped her from doing that, but allowed her to compete collegiately.
Very nice performance quality to this routine. Expressive dance, very clean and polished. Nicely done with the music as well as the total performance. Almost missed the timing on that punch into the second somersault with a full.
So 6 more gymnasts to go in this third rotation. You'll see them all in a moment. Audrey Harrison on the beam now for Kentucky. Coming off a career high on her bar routine.
This is always a pressure situation that you want your athletes to be able to handle. Anytime there's been a fall, you really need to get the team back on track.
She's been the most accomplished performer this year for Kentucky. 8 event titles.
Beautiful pass. Flip-flop to a layout to 2 feet. Very well done. Very nice, excellent routine. That's exactly what you want to see after a fall. And this is the best part of collegiate gymnastics, when your team has your back.
Beucler had an 8-6, so she needed a good score here.
Yes, they wanted to hit all of their routines, but when you can come back with a routine this solid and well done after a fall, that's what it's all about.
Good job. Great job. Good job.
Miranda Eubank getting ready for her floor routine.
Enjoyable was that?
Yeah.
They said she has a bubbly personality, and she really shows it on floor exercise. Stepped up big for Missouri, stepping into lineups. Exactly what Rob Dress wanted to see from these athletes, stepping into events, into lineups.
Alexis Gross already on the beam for Kentucky. They need some of her emotion right now, as they've not had a very good beam rotation. Audrey Harrison, top scorer, 9.825 so far. It's been a tough rotation for Kentucky.
This is much needed experience, though. Tim Garrison even said he wanted them to compete twice a week. He'd like that. I don't know that the athletes would like competing twice a week. But it's really the only way to get this experience. You've got to know what it feels like to handle nerves, adrenaline, particularly on this event. As we said, they're doing it well in practice.
This team ranked 17th in the nation in the beam. They have struggled tonight.
One arm back handspring into the layout, step out. You could see she was losing form in the air, just not in line with the balance beam, and not aggressive, really. That, unfortunately, is just nerves on the setup.
Here's Tori Howard, one of the more enjoyable performers on the floor tonight.
Competed primarily on beam and floor last year. Now stepped into 3 events this season. Takes pride in her senior leadership role.
She looks like she's having fun, though.
energetic routine. Good landings on the tumbling passes.
That was fun.
Clean performance, tuck double back, not huge difficulty. Again, they get their bonus connection, combining these skills, those bounding tumbling passes.
Sophomore Sara Shipley from Coral Springs, Florida, loves deep sea fishing. It's one of her favorite things to do with her father, is to head out onto the water and deep sea fish. And let's hope she can hook a good score now as the anchor on the beam.
I love it. Most of the girls won't even touch a fish, and he said she'd like to jump in and grab one. They have just lost their cool on this event.
And they're more than likely losing their lead after this rotation.
Especially hard on a coach when he knows and respects how hard this team has been working. And they've all been on board in this program, stepping up the amount of work they put into it. And unfortunately, it's back to the drawing board, back to the gym. They can see the mistakes they've made, but most it's just dealing with the pressure of competition. Knowing what to do with the nerves, the adrenaline, how to stay focused, how to stay aggressive, even under pressure.
Laura Kaffler ready to wrap things up on the floor for Missouri.
Missouri, on the other hand, they're doing everything they're capable of, really. They don't have the big tumbling passes, but that's not what they're going after.
Some solid scores that will definitely beat Kentucky's beam.
She was going to make that, did not get enough lift off the floor. She just ran out of gas, and of course on those tumbling passes you really have to time that position just so perfectly. Unfortunately, she too high on the flip-flop, didn't get the rotation on their tuck double back, and then just completely missed the timing on that punch into a front somersault. Oh, that's too bad.
So a disappointing end to the floor, but Missouri's going to be happy with their team score as Kentucky looks to regroup heading into the floor. Our final rotation coming up. We're in picturesque Lexington, Kentucky, Let's take a look at our results from the last rotation. Kentucky struggled on the beam, just a 47.150. It was Beucler's 8.6 that was dropped officially. And for Missouri, they made up some ground big time in their floor routines, as Missouri had some solid performances. Kapler's final routine was dropped, and as a team, 48.525. And as you can see, that meant a big difference in the overall score, as Missouri now is ahead after 3 rotations. They've each had the lead. Let's see who gets it, most importantly, after this final rotation. Kayla Hartley, what a great story, from Versailles, Kentucky, nearby. Grew up supporting this program, was initially a walk-on, but has earned a scholarship. And here's her in her own words about that whole process.
It means so much because, like you said, coming from down the road and coming as a walk-on, just hoping to get a spot in lineup or anything, and getting those spots and then just getting that scholarship as well. It just meant the world to me as a freshman.
Boy, that puts a smile on your face. It's such a great story, and I love that that he really placed equal importance and value on every single athlete on that team. Walk-on, scholarship athletes, doesn't matter.
Rob Drass making the change in the beam lineup. Henderson was scheduled to go third. She now gets the leadoff call. Very aggressive performer on the beam.
I love it. She's described as outgoing, fun-loving, and aggressive, who's fighting for her spot in the lineup on balance beam, and she got it.
Just a freshman from Oklahoma City.
Oh, hang on. Of course, a break at the waist when you bend down that far is a sizable deduction on the balance beam, but she fought it, stayed on. This is the type of thing this team has had to deal with. Changes at the last minute, putting somebody up first on balance beam in the lineup at the last minute. That can be daunting. She handled it well. Good job. What a relief. Oh, a little bit low on that landing, but you can really see the fight in this gymnast, working for every 10th of a point.
And now Tiara Phipps will lead things off on the floor for Kentucky. At her best score in this leadoff position against Georgia.
Well, this is when you see what your team is made of, when they can come back from balance beam errors. Nice landing on that tuck double back.
Coach said she's out there for the fans more than for herself. A great performer.
Yes, the tumbling is important, but I love to see a gymnast dance, use the music, work with it, reach out to the audience, and truly perform. Nicely done. The other thing to keep in mind for some of the gymnasts stepping into the floor lineup, if you haven't trained preseason leading up, getting the endurance to do floor exercise takes some time. A little bit low on the landing, but she pulls it off. The best part of her routine is the choreography and the way she performed for the audience.
Taylor Medria, junior from Michigan, on the beam now for Missouri. Missouri just needs to be solid on the beam after Kentucky's meltdown in the previous rotation.
Missouri is sitting in a very good position. They've hit well. They haven't counted a fall. They've had a couple of missed routines, so they won't have their 24 for 24. But so far, they're not counting a broken routine. Nice smooth transition. Oh, too bad. That's a good combination. And unfortunately, really lacked rotation on that layout step out. Had to pike it down. That always gets you off line, off center. Giving up little tenths of a point here and there, but of course this is the routine thus far. They would like to drop the score and not count a fall. We've seen it can happen. Oop. And with their feet a little apart, not completely happy with that.
See that fall again.
A really nice combination. Yeah, just no rotation on that. Not enough amplitude and just off center from the very beginning.
Alexis Gross.
Alexis Gross ready to go on the floor.
Very good landing on the pike double back. Coming back well on floor.
Phipps had a 9-8.
This was the best pass of the routine. Pike double back. Very nice landing.
Cathryn Aliceaacosta ready to go on the beam for Missouri.
This was the only event she competed last year. Says she's a little bit shy, but really coming out of her shell, particularly on the floor routine.
Junior from Houston, Texas.
Quite in position on the leaps and jumps. Really want to see a full split. Setting up for a dismount. Fair enough, 1.5 twist. Had to take a pretty big step back, but I think she's pretty happy with that routine. 2 back handsprings into the layout step out. One of the more difficult balance beam routines on this team.
Kenzie Hedges. Hedges from Rowlett, Texas. Coach says she's very forgetful. Let's hope she doesn't forget anything in this final routine.
I love it. Lovingly calls her a dingbat. Sometimes she will forget.
Can you lovingly do that?
Yes, you can lovingly do that. She didn't forget to stick the landing. They're building back up. You know, in this process, you're going to have setbacks, and they had a setback on balance beam, but it's how you handle those, how you come back from them that really define you and make you better.
We'll get her score as well as the final 3 turns for each team in a moment. Rachel Updike hopping up on the beam. Updike, the Big 12 newcomer of the year last year, competing this year, though, of course, in the SEC. An All-American in her freshman year as well. Only All-American for Missouri and just the 5th in school history.
For me, there's nothing better than good form in gymnastics, and she really shows excellent form and execution. Gorgeous sheep jump. Unfortunately, she gave up a tiny balance break after it. Beautiful full turn, leg extended. See how stretched she is. Very, very poised, nice posture throughout the routine. And a great landing on the dismount.
That should be the best score for Missouri so far on the beam.
I just love clean gymnastics. Very, very excellent form. And you can't beat the landing.
So wait on Updike's score while we go over to Shannon Mitchell.
She is performing for the judge right there in the corner. Talk about eye contact.
And the judge is smiling back.
Nice performance. So much going on in the floor routine, tumbling, trying to stick the landings. then connecting with the audience and your choreography and the music, trying to do it all.
Tori Howard ready to go on the beam. She won her first event title of her career earlier this year on the beam against Auburn with a 9-9 performance.
Could even see the pause before she went into that pass, just a little uncertainty. It's a very fine line on this event of relaxing enough to not get uptight, but being aggressive. You really, really have to make the landings happen, make the skills happen, and be in control. So far, Missouri's counting scores between 9.55 and 9.775. This should be a counter. If they could just drop the one score thus far, that's a 9.05. Keep building on that. She fought for that landing. That will be a decent deduction, though. And again, really worked hard on the landing.
Audrey Harrison ready for her floor routine. She won the floor against Georgia in Kentucky's last meet at a career-high 9.9.
Stairway to heaven. I was going to love her smile on this event, and I have to agree, I do.
Calls her a sweetheart.
But steady and tough, too. Good combination. Nice job and beautiful music. Pike double back. She did very well on all of her landings, really performed for this crowd. And who wouldn't? Great music.
Final up on the beam for Missouri. It's Mackenzie McGill. 9.85 is her career high. Missouri trying to hang on to the lead after that third rotation.
Nice long pass, the entire length of the balance beam. Wow, nice job. Coach must be So pleased with his team.
Solid end to the night from McGill.
They worked hard throughout the competition, stepping up into lineups, hitting routines. It's what it's all about. They are continuing to write this story and determined to come up with a good end.
Here is Kayla Hartley, the anchor. Final performance of the night.
And they need a big one here. Nice lift on the double pike. Unfortunately, she stepped out of bounds. Great final event for Kentucky. They really rallied on floor exercise.
Will it be enough?
Unfortunately, they dug themselves a huge hole over on the balance beam. Big double pike, but gave away a 1/10 of a point on the out of bounds.
So Kayla Hartley, the anchor on the floor, great volunteer within this community, and good story as well, ending the night for Kentucky. And let's take a look at the final rotation scores. First for Missouri on the beam, 48.200 for the team. They dropped Madria's score. And for Kentucky on the floor, this is where they made up the distance after the third rotation, a very solid floor rotation. Hartley's score was dropped, and the final score, Kentucky comes from behind in the final rotation to win by .125, and that was a little bit of a discrepancy from what we originally thought, Kathy.
When they went to verify the scores, they noticed that a score was input incorrectly. So it was a clerical error on Laura Kapler's vault. Instead of a 9.575, it needed to be a 9.5. So they corrected that, so it actually didn't end up quite as close as we thought it was.
Well, for the 5th time this year, Audrey Harrison has won the all-around title the 3rd straight week. And these were her routines. On the vault, Harrison, this was good for a 9.725. Then on the bars, almost perfect, a 9.9. That was followed by her beam routine. Best of the night for Kentucky, which struggled overall. And then on the floor, ending the night with a 9.850. And Audrey Harrison is standing by along with head coach Tim Garrison with our very own Kathy Johnson-Clark.
Coach, it wasn't exactly what you planned. I will let you do the talking. Tell us what happened out there.
I'll tell you, we didn't have a bad start. We didn't hit as many landings on vault as I had hoped we were going to hit. You know, I thought bars was pretty good with the exception of the first routine, but that showed a lot of resilience on the part of our team to have a mistake in the first competitor and the next 5 come through and just rock it. Finishing up with this young lady, or second last on 9.9, awesome routine. You know, then we went over to beam and did nothing of what we wanted to do, you know, and just had a disastrous day. But once again, they came back on floor and they did well. So we're disappointed. I mean, there's no doubt we're disappointed. This could have been a great night for our program. You know, great night for our team. There's a lot of great nights for this team yet to come.
Back to the gym and much more to come.
Absolutely.
This young lady had an incredible competition and a huge bar routine. Tell me how it felt out there, and how did you try to help rally your team after balance beam?
Well, I was really excited about the meet. It is really disappointing it happened on beam, but I'm still really proud of floor. And I tried to tell everyone just to put it behind them, forget it, move on, because we know we're a better team than that, so we're not going to let it get to us.
Good things to come, I hope. Congratulations on your performance, and good luck for the rest of the season. Thanks, Coach.
Kentucky wins the meet, but let's take a look at the benchmarks both teams were hoping to achieve.
Well, University of Kentucky really had their problems on balance beam. Unfortunately, they got tight, so that they did not compete aggressively over there, and that's just something they're going to have to work on. The team that came closest to hitting their goals is Missouri. They didn't hit 24 for 24, but they didn't count a fall. They only had 3 missed routines. Form, execution, landings were better, and they're continuing their story. They are stepping up into lineups, and they competed very well in this competition.
So Kentucky ranked 17th in the nation, had its hands full tonight with Missouri. Once again, our final score, Kentucky beats Missouri by .125. For Kathy Johnson-Clark and our entire crew, I'm Sam Gore. Thanks for joining us, everyone. This has been the SEC on ESPN from Lexington, Kentucky.